everyone. Good day. Welcome to Teach Connect. Today we have educational wizard with us, Dr. Y. Jayashree Rao, with abundant experience in drilling towards academics. She completed her school in UG at Ooty and Chennai and joined the teaching field in the year 2000. She worked in various schools in Vizag, Anantapur, Hyderabad, and many more places as well. She acquired floating knowledge towards conducting workshops for students and teachers as well. Also, a great thing is that she's also experienced in authoring books for grades PP1 to PP1 to 5. Currently, she is working as an academic director and principal at Oxford International School. Let's have a session with her to know more about further details. Hello, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening, Sindhuja.
Yeah, welcome to Teach Connect. We are just here to have your expert suggestions over the current generation situations and to know more about NEP, because you're all like very skilled with the NEP. What is the thing going on? Like, why is it actually NEP? Why it has been started? What are the things has been addressed over there? So let's have some few tips and suggestions from your end. Yeah, great, ma'am. And let's have two instances. Like, there are two initiatives undertaken as per NEP. So these are to provide good infrastructure, that is sufficient infrastructure for students. And the second one is to allow participation of all the students in the classroom for a high quality output education. So what are the three major steps would you like to refer us in order to improve the best education to happen in schools?
Yeah. First of all, the new education policy, that's how people call it, but then it's the national education policy that has to be understood. It has very beautiful things that is incorporated in terms of education and in raising the bar in terms of the policies that our country has made after so many years. So this itself is a great initiative taken by the government, of course. So in my context, if you're going to ask me about the three major steps that I have to put in to improve the best education, the first one would be to allow students to explore. Explore in the sense, when I say it is more about research-based learning based from their smaller ages. So when we talk about research, we always think that it is meant only for the high school students or for students beyond that. We don't think that research has nothing to do with age. It can start off with a very early age. Even young children can start doing it. So once they learn by doing it or by exploring into it, I think the learning becomes more fruitful. And the next one is to allow them to be more inquisitive. When I mean to say this, we always try to tell them what is there, the facts, we just disclose the facts to them. We don't allow them to think for themselves and be inquisitive about their thoughts. So we should allow the inquisitiveness in their learning process that will become more comfortable in terms of their learning ability. Because when they question more, they learn more. We don't allow them to question a lot. So that should be incorporated. Number two, I would say. And the next one is freedom of expression. I think that is somehow curbed in some places, not always, but many places it's curbed because it could be attributed to the strength that we have in the class. If I have around 50 students, if I allow everybody to express, probably I can't handle the class probably. So in that case, what I do is I don't allow my children to express freely. So the expression is curtailed over there. They are curbed. They are not allowed to express too much. So I think we should allow them to express very freely about their thoughts. Probably their thought process is much beyond than what we think. What we think about their knowledge is far beyond than what they really have. So that thing should happen in the classes. So I would say it's exploration, allow them to be inquisitive, and allow them to express themselves freely.
Yeah. So these are the three major steps which you have been suggested. So what is the part of a teacher in these three major steps? What role she has to play to get these three steps executed?
So when it comes to these three things that is to be executed, I think the planning of the lesson should be done very, very robust. They should have an excellent plan. The lesson plan should be made so very well that every child has something to contribute in this learning and every contribution is understood by the teacher. So nothing should be neglected. Nobody's learning should be neglected. We should be guiding them in that way. So I think a robust lesson plan is needed to execute all these things that I was talking about. So when we have a correct plan, I think the children will be able to do whatever we have initiated for them in that way. So I would definitely attribute all these things to have a perfect lesson plan. And of course, using technology along with their learning, because that has become an inherent part of teaching now. Without that, we cannot. Though teacher doesn't have a replacement, I think it's an add-on to have good technology alongside with us.
Yeah. So nowadays we all, like most of the schools are following this lesson plan. So how this lesson plan actually should be prepared? Like for every lesson before they gonna start, they have to prepare the schedule, or it should be a week schedule, or how this should be prepared actually?
Generally, what we have learned when we were teachers, from now, it's a big transformation. It's not what it used to be those days, right? So we can say that a lesson plan should consist of all the things that is needed for the current generation. So when I say current generation, I'm talking about the 21st century skills also. So every lesson plan should incorporate all those 21st century skills also into it. So if there is something related to collaboration, something related to critical thinking, to creativity, to team building, whatever are these skills that we talk about, every skill should be tested in every context. In every lesson, there should be a lesson plan in which all these kind of skills are going to get its own share. So if that kind of a lesson plan is made, so before we start, a lesson plan should always be like, the prerequisites of a particular child. What should they know before the lesson starts? After the lesson, what is the learning outcome they should be having? So while we do this learning outcome, the inside activities, all that we plan, these activities should be based on the 21st century skills. If we make a lesson plan in alignment with these 21st century skills, I think that makes our job much easier.
Yeah. And in the same concept, besides the world, like whole world believing in the philosophy that readers are the leaders. So how come students of a school and below 5th grade mainly are not able to read many of the words which are mentioned, like, which are formed in the textbooks? So how come the students cope up with this, reading small words in the textbooks? Because we see many of the students, we see few students learning, reading a sentence from their 1st grade only. But we can see many of the children, even they're unable to read a sentence when they come for 2nd and 3rd grade as well. So where are they lagging? Like that should be, how the reading skills should be improved over there.
See, what happens in the primary classes that I have observed in my experiences, there is more emphasis laid on content completion. So there is a lot of things that happens on the teacher's side that, finish off all these things. They don't lay emphasis on perfection. It is always about completion. I've completed my work. I've done this work. So there is no emphasis laid on the whether the child has learned everything that he has to in that particular age. So then from 1st class to 2nd class, there's an easy passover. He just goes on from that class. This learning gap that has occurred at grade 1, it continues. It doesn't get filled up in any place because every year the syllabus keeps increasing and he has to learn more. So what he has not learned in the primary classes, it's completely just keeping on adding on to his deficits actually. So there should be more emphasis on less content in the lower classes. In the lower classes, there should be more emphasis laid on less content. There should not be huge books to cover. There should not be huge content to be covered for the teacher. The teacher should have that freedom to do less work where every child has the necessary skills to go to the next class. So when I mean to say necessary skills, it should be both in writing, reading, and speaking. If they have all these skills in the particular class, then grading them to the next class will become very easy. Unfortunately, the parents in the primary classes over here also feel that they know more than us because they can always handle a primary child at home. So they also do a little bit of teaching from their end, which is not scientifically done. They do it in their own way. Whatever they feel is the right way of doing it, they do it. And that is where the actual problem occurs. They also teach the child and they feel that the child knows too much at that particular age. They don't lay emphasis on reading textbook or storybooks at all. We generally say, let the children read a lot of books, but they don't allow them to do. It's more about, somebody comes to my house, I want my child to recite a rhyme. The moment the child says a rhyme, it's like, wow, my child knows everything. Yes. So when the child is told that you know so many things, he doesn't have that feeling towards reading because I already know a lot. I don't have to read much. So there is too much of parent interference in that age. And, the teacher also is burdened with completing a lot of content that she has to teach. If the content is reduced and the interference is also reduced, I think the child will be able to bridge that gap.
Yeah, at that age, teachers are hurried up with the lessons and parents are satisfied with what the child they have. That is actually the drawback.
Because ultimately the child in the primary, the child goes home and he expresses so many things. So nobody is bothered about what the child has learned. It's more about how much he has expressed over there. I told this, I told that, I know this, I know that kind of. So there is no time for the parent to check on their skills, what are they have acquired. So the gap is always there in the class.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, once a child reaches home, he expresses everything what the teacher has told. Like, teacher told me this today, she told me that today, she told me good, she has given me stars on my hand. All the things he tries to express, but never they look at the thing what he have learned, what are the words. But they remember one thing at the examinations. When they come towards the examination, they say that my child didn't learn anything.
Yes. End of the year, they decide that, my child can't even read his normal content in the textbook. And, the basic thing is the parent at home also, even now, though there is so many changes happening in the field of education, the parent's mindset has still stuck to that old road method. So for them, it is one question, few answers. And for that question, this answer only is to be written. So it is just the rote method. NEP is actually looking at, leave out this rote method, go into a different mode of learning. That is exactly what even we are all waiting to happen. We don't want children to by heart anything and write it in that. That is exactly what happens in the primary classes. It's just about by heart and deliver. So that if it changes, I think the child will know to read more. Because in the question answer session, he just has to read only that particular answer, only that he knows. He doesn't know anything beyond that. So if we lay emphasis on, learning on their own, reading on their own, giving them more scope to read other than the textbooks also, I think that would be great.
Yeah, because many answers to single question will be great actually, because nowadays children are like, parents are worried. Answer to the question is enough, that's it. But when they come out with the multiple answers over there, definitely he will have a grip on the lesson and all. That they have to recognize initially actually. Well, ma'am, that was a great. And also, as per the education policy, change the scenario. Are the pedagogical practices for teaching English at primary level can become an exploratory study?
Yes, it should be actually becoming an exploratory study, because English as a language should not be taught. It should be taught. So if we are telling our children to catch a language, we should allow them to do that in the proper way. There should be a scope for them to catch the language. But when we teach English as a subject in the class, there is no scope for learning the skills that it actually has to be learned. So the children are more worried about how many grammar answers I'm writing, how many writing part have I written, whether I have scored better in my skills. These things they look at over there. So if at all the child is allowed to explore a little more into his speaking skills, his writing skills, just not looking at his content part, I think the child will definitely be having an exploratory learning. It will not be just a normal English subject. So for me, I feel that English should not be taught as a subject. It is a skill by itself. Speaking in English, writing in English, reading in English should become a skill. It should not be just a subject. Yes, you need to have it as one of the subjects, but then that is going to be the base of all your things that you're going to do in future. So you need to communicate, you need to write, you need to understand everything in that language. So I feel that it should be taught as a skill, not as a subject alone.
Yeah. Then what struggles do you face? Because we have many PP children, PP1, PP2 children come up with different languages. Their mother tongues are completely different. One child's mother tongue will be Telugu, Indian, different languages. So initially to make them speak in the English, how the teachers struggle at that age, because parents also should know this issue, because they just directly drop the child at the school and leave out. But communicating to the child who doesn't know English, because it's not a common language for them. We have to communicate in various languages to make them understand.
So what a foreign language, and we need to learn it at that way only. It is a foreign language to us. But the problem in the schools, from the school to the home, what happens is what is done in the school is undone at home. We lay so much of emphasis for the child to do these things. At home, undo all those things. Yes. So the child again comes back fresh to the school undone. So again, the teacher has to start from the beginning. So if this process continues even at home, the job becomes easier.
Yes, maybe he'll come with a fresh mind, leaving all the things behind again at home and come back. That is the problem. Because if it is refreshed again at home, right, he will never forget actually. Because they are having a bright mind. So nobody will, child's mind is usually bright actually. They catch us easily. Maybe that lies in the parents as well. Today, according to the things what you have told, parents also should cooperate with the teachers. It is an effort that
has to be coming from that side also. It can't happen only from one side.
Yeah, that's what. that was actually great thing, ma'am, because many of the parents are thinking from the one side itself. My child is from morning 8 to 4 o'clock at the school. Why isn't he speaking English? Because he's leaving behind all the things which is taught at the school and just coming with a fresh mind to the home and continuing the same way from this home actually. So that might be the problem that everybody is facing. And final thing, we just want to have your suggestion. Like, what is the main gap identified in the NEP? Like, what is the main objective? On what phases did they have framed out the NEP? What are the major things? On what instances they have?
The NEP is such a beautiful document that has come out. It has a lot of positive things to look at, the main objective they have is like, pre-primary is into the mainstream now. Vocational studies are into the mainstream now. Indian education with global trends has been put up into that. They have highlighted the rich heritage of Indian education in it. From the old method of rote to the new digitalization has been included over there. So they are promoting a lot of technology also into education. So all these are wonderful tools that has been incorporated into the policy itself. But the problem, I feel, the implementation itself is a big hindrance. So if there is a gap, I would say the implementation part itself is a gap. There is nothing specifically mentioned on the implementations over there. The timelines for implementation, or you can say, how is it going to be done? Leave alone the private organizations, probably they will somehow look into a way of getting things done. What about the schools where nothing of this kind is available? How are they going to implement it? How are we going to bring all these people onto the same platform? How are those people going to come in at par with these people? So that at par, when it comes now, we really don't know what is going to happen. So what is the implementation process? That has not been clearly defined in the NEP. That I feel is a gap. If that is filled up, I think the policy itself is very beautiful for all of us to start out. Already it has, but then we will definitely be able to do it with a little more rigor from our side. So the implementation is what I feel is a big hindrance.
Yeah. As per the things what you have told, like it was a beautiful concept which has been started. And like most of the schools, I think most of the schools has not been implemented yet, the NEP policy and all. They have to be started from the first. Actually, it has to be started from the management, or do they have to take any training classes for their teachers, train them in the methodologies of NEP? How they have to initiate it?
True. That's exactly what I'm saying. The timelines is not mentioned. And of course, what are the necessary tools that we have to equip our teaching community with? The teachers, are they equipped enough to teach the community? Are they good in imparting what the NEP really wants for the students? So there should be meticulous planning of training sessions for the teachers, and they should be having, all the teachers probably in the country should have the same line of thinking, that this is exactly what the NEP wants from. So if we all start thinking in the same line, if our frequencies match, I think then the policy is going to be effectively transformed into the students. And in the next few years to come, all the children will have the same learning that is happening. But irrespective of what books they use, I think at least the content will be the same. Everybody will be able to have the same learning aspects. That is what I feel like. So there should be proper teacher trainings. The managements should be able to equip themselves and their teaching community with effective implementation. The government schools should play an important role in that. They should also take necessary steps to get all their children also onto the same platform. So all these things has to be planned from their side. If that is done, only we will be able to implement NEP. Otherwise, it just becomes a document and a policy. It will not be an effective implementation into our mainstream.
Yeah, because if it's not followed, never it gets implemented as well. So because we had a wonderful creation over there. We're just like, the food is in our plate. We have to enjoy it. That's it. Readily in our plate. We have to enjoy it. So how many of them uses it? It's their choice, and it's in the hands of the management and schools as well. Because that was a wonderful thing, ma'am. Because the suggestions which the experts, because you have already experienced with the NEP, you have started implementation in your schools with your teachers and already following the things. Because you're quite effective in that, because you know what are the causes, what are the effects you are facing after implementing the NEP, what are the things you have got out of it, because you are quite experienced in that. So I think your suggestions and the tips which you have given today would help many schools and teachers to follow in a particular path, so that even they will also avoid the things, like they will also avoid some hardships over there, like going in the ancient methodologies, rubbing the students and following the same methodology. That will be quietly avoided using these techniques which you have been provided today. So that was wonderful, ma'am. We also thank you for having your time over here for this wonderful session.
Thank you for inviting me to give a talk on the same topic. This is actually the need of the hour, where we all, even as principals, we have our own learning gaps in this one. Even we need a lot of, when we are doing something, when we are implementing it, then we come to understand the problems that we face in this, the hassles that we have in the implementation. So if that is bridged, I think, it's a beautiful thing for our country. After so many years, we are having a good policy that we can also look at the global trends, and we can also be at par with the education that is there in other countries. Definitely, this is a wonderful document that we all should be following with proper and effective implementation.
Yeah, that's the thing, ma'am. And we are very happy to connect with you as well with the Teach Connect. And next time, we just want to have your more ideas and things on NEP. What's on NEP about? What's the strategy? Because when you put a document over there, nobody wishes to study all the entire book. I think we didn't study when we are studying. That is the last when we have studied during our childhood. After that, we didn't never study about the books. But we are very quite interested in hearing something, watching something. So I think in this way, at least many of them will have an idea of what is all NEP about, what is the output of using that methodologies and all. That was
I think in your second question that you asked me, you told me that readers are leaders. That is equally important for us also. Even we should read a lot to become a leader. Once we read a lot, we understand a lot, and we can transfer this information to the next generations properly. So we should be reading whatever document it is. If we read it, I think we can definitely lead it also.
Yes, that was a thing actually, but many will be lagging at that point. So everybody is interested to listen rather than reading something. I don't know, like what is the thing over there, but even many of the students are, because that is not only the problem with the students, it's a problem with adults and teachers as well, as a parent also, because they want to make everything things easier, not the complicated things.
True.
Yes. Yeah.
See, that is the reason why when we have to sign on some document, there is so many pages to read, but we hardly even read those pages. We just put a signature. We don't have patience to read all that. Yes. So we read it, we understand there are so many things that we have to know before doing such kind of a thing. But that is where we all lag. I don't know if we call it as lethargy, laziness, or ignorance. It could be anything. But we should not be doing that kind of a thing.
Yeah. But that is an impact on our career as well, as many of have to understand the concept and all. Because I think by this, at least few of the teachers and all, everybody understand the concept and learn and start using this methodologies which has been introduced in the NEP. Because if one takes the initiation, right, so back of that, everybody will follow, because it's a chain system.
Yes.
So because they will be knowing what are the causes and what are the outputs they have received. So they will listen to that and they'll start using that. Make the learning quite easier. Thank you, ma'am. Yes. Thank you for having your time over here with Teach Connect. Definitely we'll connect with you some other day to have more sessions on NEP as well, exclusively on NEP.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Have a great day. For more videos towards NEP, please like, share, and subscribe Teach Connect. Thank you. Signing off, Sindhu.